Hey, ladies, welcome to another episode of the Revitalized Womanhood podcast. Today I am joined with the lovely Liz Wann from the OC from Cali. Cali, how's the weather in Cali today? Is it gorgeous?
Oh, I wish. No, it's
No, no,
raining.
same
I
here. It's
know.
super rainy. This is the perfect day to rock my revitalized hoodie, but dang, it's kind of hot. Dang, a little sweaty. Let me introduce you. Actually, would you please introduce yourself to my beautiful listeners and what you've got going? Tell them what you've got going on in your life right now.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I am excited to be here. I have been a professional organizer for the last 5 years, but have loved doing this my entire life. It's just something that has come naturally to me. And over my journey doing this and the working with clients in their homes, I have become passionate about so many different things as I have ventured into running my business and finding kind of what brings me alive. And so, one thing that I have recently, and I was telling Gina this, that I have discovered is just this joy for simplicity and living with less, and how there's so much power that comes with that. Because in our culture and society, we are always wanting more. And so that's something that I have become passionate about. And so the last year, have really discovered, okay, how can I help more people, not just working within their home, but helping them change their mindset? And so that's something that I have become really passionate about, of teaching other people how living with less is so powerful and how to do it successfully on their own, because I can't be with everyone next to them, working alongside of them, decluttering their homes, their minds, and their life. And so this journey of running this business has been so cool, a lot of work, but so cool. And so I have found a lot of passions as I've kind of discovered more of like what the issues are, when people are kind of starting that process of getting organized. It's decluttering and living with less is such an important element to what we do as professional organizers. And so that's something that we have just really been passionate about sharing and teaching that message.
So, what I was about to say before we started recording, and then I'm like, no, let's just record, was my listeners are going to start to notice this kind of common theme of no, it's not just the algorithm bringing me all of these beautiful women that are organizers, decluttering, simplifying lifestylists, right? It's on purpose, because that is one of my personal goals for 2024 is less chaos and clutter,
Mm-hmm.
whatever clutter it is, social media clutter, news clutter, digital clutter, emails, right? Papers, anything. All the clutter is chaos. And I don't want
Mm-hmm.
chaos. I want to find peace. I want to find that peace that I'm missing. And I feel like so many people are feeling that same way. It's just something just clicked all of a sudden, I think. And I know
Mm-hmm.
lots of people have been passionate about this before. Like I said, you've been doing this for 5 years, but I don't know what it is. If it's just all of a sudden it feels like we're all just kind of fed up with this
Mm-hmm.
needing more and wanting more, and everybody making us feel like we need to do more. And because it's not even just having more things, it's even doing more things. It's just all
Mm-hmm.
of the things that create chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would like you to, 5 years ago, before you started this journey, I know you said you've liked to do this always, but think to yourself, because you are not only just an entrepreneur, you are a mama, you are a wife, you are
Mm-hmm.
all the things. So think back before you started this business, and what was your outlook? I don't know how to phrase the question. Where were you 5 years ago? Where was your mindset? Where was your
Mm-hmm.
before starting this journey?
Yeah. For me, it wasn't, I think that sometimes people in my positions are, starting their companies because they feel like they're also, what you just mentioned, feeling chaotic and feeling like they want structure in their homes. For me, 5 years ago, this was more like coming from a passion and something where I was like, okay, I realized, and why I started my company was like, oh, people don't know how to do this on their own. And they don't want to do this on their own because of their schedules. Life is busy, it overwhelms them. And so it was more just something that I felt like I want to share this gift with other people. And so my mindset at that point was just, I have a gift that I didn't realize was a gift. And a big part of it was becoming a mom and seeing my daughter. And it was a beautiful, like, time in my life because she was young, and I always felt like I was an intense kid and an adult, but I'm just an intense person. I like structure, I like order, and that's not common for a lot of people. And so growing up, I think I felt like, was I born this way? Is this just how I became? Like, where did this come from in terms of my passions and my abilities? And then seeing my daughter and realizing, oh my goodness, she's 18 months old. She's scrubbing the floorboards for fun because that's what she wants to do. She's organized, she's clean. I'm not joking. And I started seeing that in her and started obviously appreciating that gifting in her and realizing, okay, Liz, like, you need to, as a mom, like, I think that happens a lot, right? As moms, we see things in our kids that maybe we don't love about ourselves, but seeing it in your child, you start to love it. And I felt like I started to love myself more and realized, okay, I have a gift. She has a gift. I need to celebrate this and not hide it, because I always felt like I was, crazy or weird because I enjoyed doing it for fun. And so my mindset was more just out of passion and excitement of like sharing a gift that I had with other people to make their lives easier. And now my mindset is more like, wow, I do have a gift, but I want to teach this gift, because I felt like before I was just doing it for them. Like, let me share my gifting with you and coming to your home and organizing it in person because I know you're busy. And now, 5 years later, being in people's homes, teaching them our methods, I realized, oh my goodness, if people chose to like live a simple life and chose to make these changes, they would have a completely different life, and it would be so much more happier. They would have so much more peace, and they would cut out all the noise. And so I feel like over my journey, that's kind of where I have leaned into this new mindset of, I need to teach people how to like stop the problem, so that way they don't need to call me and for me to come to
Right.
their home. I want them to realize how life-changing this is. And I'm sure social media has played an effect in all of this, right? Like 5 years ago versus five now, like, social media has changed, and that buying method of, oh, I can buy whatever I want through all these links that people are sharing, it's just making it a bigger problem. And I believe that if we just slowed down, not only are keeping our homes in order, but like you mentioned too, with your schedules, we would be so much happier. And I think that it's just become a huge problem. And so my mindset has definitely shifted into, let's tackle this problem head on and change people's lives.
I think my platform this year is, well, it may have been last year as well. I don't know. I've become very, I guess, passionate. We're throwing the word we're passionate around. I don't have a better word. Sorry. It's just a great word. Where I've become very passionate about making women aware of burnout. And I actually have, this is going to not work in the timeline, but Friday's episode is actually I'm going to share a story that just happened to us on the cruise. So February 21st, 2nd, 3rd, 23rd. So this will play after that. But so this Friday, I'm actually going to share a story that happened to us on my cruise. And it's something that has never happened to me before in my entire life. I've heard of things like this happening, and I've thought that would never happen to me ever, and you hear these horrifying stories of, and it was something that shocked me to my core. And it's because of burnout. And I'm not that way. I don't feel, do you know what I mean? Like in my normal life, I feel like especially in my journey, starting this women's community and this podcast, it has made me extremely mindful about how I'm living each day and organizing my life and my time and things so that I don't hit burnout, right? So that I prioritize self-care, and also like modeling that for other women, that this is okay. You can have all this stuff. You can do the things you just have to create order. You just have to eliminate chaos, right? You have to eliminate, you got to get rid of stuff. You have to say no, right? So anyway, that's been my platform, I think. And then I had this thing happen to me and I'm like, wow, it happened in a day. It wasn't built up over time, because I think in my mind, I've always thought of burnout as, oh, she must have been doing this for like months or years, or you know what I mean? Or every single day she's just constantly filled with pressure and anxiety and the weight of all the things. So it led to this moment, like women that leave babies in the car on accident, or women that fall asleep during the day and their babies wander out and drown in the pool, or, you know, like the most horrifying events in a mother's life. And I always kind of attributed it to a lifestyle of overwhelm, right? And burnout, which it is. It probably is too. But my moment was just from a day, hours of a stressful situations that I'm not used to, that my body's not used to, that my mind's not used to. And it happened. And I was like, oh my gosh, now everybody's going to be like, what happened? What happened? Well, I will have shared this story before they hear this podcast. So anyway, what I want to get to the bottom of, and what I want you and other beautiful women like you that are on this same path, the same mission, just maybe like a different outlet of it, is to create mindfulness of our lifestyles, of our lives, and take a look and inventory of what it is, how we can avoid these kinds of things, right? Avoid burnout, avoid overscheduling and exhaustion and fatigue and anxiety and all the things, right? So what are some actionable steps that you had to take in your company to start teaching these people, I won't say women, but people, to start eliminating this kind of chaos?
Yeah. I think I'm still on this journey, and I never want that to end, right? Like I always
we're
want to
always
be
growing.
a learner, and I'm still discovering so much as I have been just having like a life-changing experience. And my husband and I have been on this journey together, which has been really cool too. Because we have just the last year have had a lot of stuff happen, like in our personal lives with family and people getting sick. And so it's made us look at life differently. And as a mom to two kids, we live very busy lives running a business, right? And trying to manage and juggle it all. And this last year, I felt like I can't keep doing this. And at the end of the day, what's it all for, right?
Right.
Like, why am I burning myself out? Exactly. Like, as a business owner, I think that's pretty normal. We go through burnout, but how can I not do this to myself? And how can I live a life that I enjoy and proud of and feel like I can actually be present to in the moment, right? Because I think so much of the time we say yes to too much. Our homes are so cluttered that we can't focus and can't actually be present because we have anxiety. And so for me, I just felt like, okay, we need to cut out all the noise. And it's not just with clutter. It's like we talked about, clutter in every which way. And my husband and I are doing it together of like, okay, what's your mindset? Mindset, I think, is huge. And I think it's something that as entrepreneurs, it's important to keep your mindset in check. And as moms and like as human beings, we have to have a healthy mindset in order to keep moving forward. And so for me, I feel like I have really kind of taken this like saying of if it's not a heck yes, it's a no. And that is with every decision I make, with business, with being a mom, with commitments I am saying yes to or no to. If it's not something that I really want to be at, I'm not going to go. And it's not me being selfish or rude. It's practicing like self care and taking care of my family and taking care of me as a human being so that way I can give what I need to give to the people closest to me. And so it's translated in a lot of things, even health. I think health is a huge thing. as well, of like making sure I'm taking care of my body, what I'm putting into it, how I'm exercising, and practicing that mindfulness of being like present in each moment. Because I definitely have a tendency of like wanting, more in success more than like items. I always want to be successful and want more and more and more. And I'm sure the society today is putting pressure on me, but I have just realized I need to slow down. And I'm not going to be able to enjoy life. I'm not going to be able to enjoy my business, my kids, if I don't slow down and smell the roses and really change my mindset daily and practicing mindfulness. Um, so yeah, it's been a journey, but it's everything. It's not just like the clutter in your home. It's your mindset. It's your physical well-being, your mental health. And so for me, I say no to a lot of things. Um, and I'm trying to do things that I like. I go to yoga. I'm obsessed with it right now. I've hated yoga for years. Hated it. It was nothing I ever wanted to do because it was like too restful for me. I always want to like go and run. And so doing stuff like that, my husband is like shocked. He's like, "You like yoga?" I'm like, "Who would have thought?" Like, that is not something I've ever been into, but I'm practicing mindfulness. And now half the time I cry during yoga because I am allowing it to like speak to me, not just my physical well being, but like my mental health. And it's been a really cool experience, but I'm doing things differently and I'm choosing to do things differently every single day. So is it always easy? No, I have to like remind myself this is for the bigger picture, even though right now I might want to do something or feel like I'm missing out on an opportunity. I just have to say no more often and take care of myself.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
absolutely. It does. I wrote it down. If it's not a heck yes, it's a no. It's so
Mm-hmm.
true. In everything we do, we kind of feel like, I don't know if it's we feel like we can do more or we feel obligated to do more, or, or if someone asks us something, we feel, as women, I think we definitely feel like it's mean or rude, or we've been taught that if we're not
Mm-hmm.
accommodating and pleasing, that it's not okay to say no to things. But most of the time I find, and I've actually been this person for a lot of women in my community that are, because I'm okay saying no to things. I'm just one of those people that I'm just like, no, thanks. And everyone knows that about me, which I think is refreshing. I think if I asked someone and they said no, I'd be like, well, thank you. Then I don't have to think about it and worry about it. I can go move on to the next person or whatever. But it's like, I will be your safe place to test this out on, to practice saying no to, because it doesn't hurt my feelings. I understand that you're creating a healthy boundary, because I think it's a practice, like you're saying with yoga, it's being able to eliminate these kinds of extras in our life that we feel obligated to do is a practice, because it will reset. It will, like you're saying, you have to continue to do it. You have to continue to be mindful about it. There's different seasons in your life where, I was thinking about this today because I'm going to record an episode about perfectionism, and which is the same kind of concept as far as when I started my other Instagram page, Pure Imperfection. It was to eliminate and be mindful about getting rid of the perfect, right? The perfect, this concept of perfect, this idea of perfect, and just trying to embrace and love what my concept is for that. So same thing with this, with the chaos in our lives. It's trying to embrace what my definition of what's going to bring me peace is, and not what external things are, you know. So wait a minute, where did I go with that? Oh yeah. So, but through this long, I mean, when did Instagram start? I started that page. When did it even start? Like 8 years ago? I mean, I don't even know. When did Instagram become existing? So however long ago, I created this page on this mission to do this. And I have found myself like, what's the term? In dispatch, we call it a refreak. When we calm them down and then they freak out again, it's called a refreak. What is it when you have to reset yourself, kind of like, yes, I'm okay with what I am. I'm okay with what I am. Well, then something happens and you're like, oh, I'm not as good as them, or I don't have as much as them. I need more. And then you're like, no,
Mm-hmm.
you have to like rein yourself in, right? You have to put yourself in
Mm-hmm.
check. it happens like seasonally. Things will trigger that in you that make you go, like you saying with success, you're like, oh, I want more success. I want more success. But then you have to be like, no, that will cut in on my time with my children, or no, that will take away from my relationship with my husband, or, you have to bring yourself back in. So I think people think that this concept, when people have this, like you and your organizing company, and you make these beautiful reels. My assistant said today, she's like, oh, look at her reels. They're so pretty. They're so beautiful. And I'm like, they're really beautiful. And people see that and they think that you've mastered it. Right. But that's not the case. I read one of your posts. I looked back into one and it really resonated with me, and it was beautiful. And it was, I have to remind myself a lot. Like sometimes days are hard and it's crap. And it's like not what you see on Instagram. And you shared that. You were like, today sucked and today was a bad day. And, nothing worked out, blah, 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 blah. It's things like that is so refreshing to see versus the constant, look at me, I've got it figured out.
Right.
But everything is a practice. But with the eliminating chaos and eliminating clutter, and you know what I mean? It's the same thing. It's we see these people living this simple life that we idealize, maybe. Look at the like homesteading is like out of control right now. It's like, I want to buy land. And I'm like, do you know what it means to buy land? It's hard. Like simple life. Okay, let's define simple, because that's hard work. My dad tells me all the time, he went to college to never have to be a farmer, ever. And then I've got my husband's dad who retired to become a farmer. Do you know what I mean? It's so funny. But it's I bet if you really were in a day of the life of this homesteader, these people that are looking at it like it's this dream that they want to aspire to, right? Whatever. It's hard work.
It's a lot.
Like, it's a lot of work. Like just decluttering my home that's tiny is a lot of work. So how would you recommend for you? I mean, this is obviously opinion and perspective, but so you've got mindset, actions to battle and overcome burnout, right? Your mindset. Yeah, that was your number one. And I love that. If it's not a heck yes, it's a heck no. We're going to add the second heck. So, but what about also grasping? How do you say it? How do you keep yourself in check? Rechecking yourself. What's a technique or a habit you have that like rechecks yourself, puts yourself back into your right place? Sorry, that was not eloquent.
I get it. I think that for me, it's something that I have, when it comes to like mindset, I say that's like number one, because I think that is what propels us forward in life. And it's what keeps people back, right, from doing what they want to do. But I think the next part too is just like taking a look at your life and figuring out, like, my husband and I talk a lot about like our future selves and what decisions can I make today that are tangible, that I can actually do, that is going to make me a better me in a year from now, in 3 years from now, or even a month from now. I think a lot of times we, as moms, as entrepreneurs, whoever we may be, we make decisions in the moment without being thoughtful. And so I feel like I really try to check myself when I'm experiencing doubt or frustration. I mean, as a professional organizer, I tell everyone this, like, my house is never perfect. Perfectionism is something I have dealt with a lot in the past. As someone who's type A and wants everything to be perfect, I've let that go years ago and have just practiced, like, this is not about perfection. This is about sustaining, a space. And my house is not always perfect, and that's not what it's about. But when it comes to like grasping and making decisions on a daily basis that are going to help me as a human being be better, and choosing that, I think, is really important. And so I make decisions based on what I want to be in the future, even though it might be hard today. Do I feel like working out today? No, it's raining outside, like I have a headache. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it because the future Liz is going to benefit from that, right? Or I'm going to cold plunge because same thing. Do I feel like doing it? No, but I know in the long run, I'm going to be a better human. Do I feel like cleaning up after a busy day of work? No, but I'm going to choose it because I know it's going to benefit my family and it's going to benefit my well being. And so I think a lot of times we don't choose the hard, but I think if you start choosing hard things, like you're going to realize how much easier life will become. Because anything is hard. Like my husband and I say that all the time. It's like, choose your hard. You can choose to live in a cluttered home because that's really complicated and hard and not good for your mental health. Or you can choose to declutter and you can put whatever you want in that. Any which way is hard. You can choose to live in a homestead. It's going to be hard,
Right.
or you can choose not. And it's going to be hard in different ways. Like that's just life. And we have to pick our battles and we have to know as well that whatever we choose, like, is going to be hard work, but one is going to be more positive in terms of the outcome, if that makes sense. So I think that's something that I try to live by on a daily basis. And it's coupled with your mindset. It's doing both.
Yeah, you have to identify also along with that is identifying we have a strategy we do in here in the sisterhood as well that's identifying who you want to be in the future, who you're looking at, the woman basically. I talk to him like in terms of if you looked across a mountain range or whatever speaks to you, a wildflower field or whatever, you see this other woman on the other side of it. And it kind of comes from the Twilight do you remember when Bella looks across and she sees her grandma across the field and she's like, Grandma. And then she gets close and she realizes it's her. It's a mirror of herself. And so that was kind of how that concept came about. All my Twilight references. Anyway, but it's looking at that woman and really, really feeling who she is, what she embodies, what she exudes. Like when people are around her, how do they feel? What she just has peace. Like you have to define that. You have to sit down with yourself. And I actually love that you and your husband do this together as well, because that gets you both on the same page as a couple and for your family. Because if you don't do that, if you have one person in a marriage that's like, I want a homestead, and you have one person in a marriage that's like, I would die if I was a homesteader, right? That's going to be an interesting conversation when you're trying to save money for the property you're trying to buy, or no, I want to go on a Hawaii vacation. Like that's going to come up, but you have to envision who this woman is. And I think a great way of after doing that is you kind of start to come to terms with what your own values are. You see, well, what's more important to me? It's like a great game of would you rather. Whenever I tell anyone that they're setting their goals, I'm like, it's like a game of would you rather, right? Would you rather spend more time with your kids, or would you rather have a new pair of Uggs? I mean, right? Because you now have to work to pay for those. Or same, my husband, he always used to say to me, I have to go to work. When you're shopping, remember that whatever you just bought is me having to work an extra 2 hours and not be with my family. And I'm like, well, that puts it in perspective. But so I love that you do that as well. That's a perfect technique, is saying, who do I want to be? What do I want my life to look like? And because everything just starts with one step. It doesn't look like that right now. And I think because we are such a generation of instant gratification, like you're saying, because now we can shop, we can click a link. It can be from this influencer to my Amazon cart to my house within 2 days, sometimes less. We are just constant instant gratification that it's like, oh, I feel kind of fat today. I wish I could lose 5 pounds. And then it's like, that seems too hard. I don't want to go to the gym. That's not easy. Right. We become this. So yeah, it's just taking that first step. So I absolutely love that. So first is mindset, which I agree. Mindset. Yeah. It's one of my pillars. And two, two, who do I want to be in the future? Putting yourself in that position of thinking like that. All right. Where are we for 3 now? Where do we go from here?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the next part too is like, I mentioned it a few times, just like talking with my husband and like making this a family. This is not, I'm not just living my life alone. I have two kids, they're 4 and 7, and my husband and I are on this journey together. Because I think that I feel like when it comes to decluttering, living a life of simplicity, like again, right, it can be hard. It's saying no to that moment when you're at the store of that instant gratification that is going to be healthier long term, but it's going to be challenging. Um, but also, like getting the people that you love and doing it together helps everyone in the family. Like it helps my husband stay on track, it helps my kids stay on track. We're all on the same page, we're all doing it together and practicing mindfulness, practicing everything together and doing things that make us better. And so it's not just me going on my journey, it's us doing it together. And so I feel like, too, I always think of it. I've been talking a lot on my Instagram. Something that I also have been like wanting people to know is like, you as a mom or a parent, like you can teach your kids whatever you want. You have the power to teach them how to take care of their items, to not be someone who needs more and more and more. To practice, like I teach my kids all the time, like, let's talk about investing. Let's talk about like saving your money instead of buying it on toys. And also like giving. I'm teaching them how to give to others of, hey, you know what? Let's give this away because you don't play with it anymore and it's going to benefit someone else. And so I practice these methods with my kids, and I'm excited to see how they grow up and have a different mindset than probably a lot of kids around them, right? Because we live in this culture of wanting more and more and more. And so if we can get our family on board and teach them these values, kids can learn. Like my 4-year-old puts things away. My kids clean up the rooms by themselves. Is it always perfect, right? Like Instagram perfect for a picture? No, but that's okay because it's not the goal. But it's having them, empowering them to do things that we tend to just do for them and then we burn ourselves out. And so
Yeah.
I just have this mindset with my kids, with my family of we're doing this together. You're helping me unload the car. You're helping me put groceries away. We're going to do laundry together. You're going to hang your clothes. Like, but I have to teach that to them. They're not going to just learn that on their own. And so one thing I want to encourage women out there is like, your kids can help you. Your kids can help you do this. You can have your own little homestead wherever you are, even if you're in LA or
Yes. Oh,
California,
I love
because of
that.
like what you create with your family is what you will feel, right? And so I think that's just a really important element to grasp is like, you can, it's never too late. Your kids may be in high school. It's never too late to train and teach them these values that are going to help them as adults. Like if, us as kids learned how to declutter, learned how to make easy decisions, learned how to say no, even if we felt pressured to buy something, how would we be as adults today? Right? Like, how would we be as parents and, a spouse? Like, how would we be if we learned those values early on and weren't in situations where we're just overwhelmed by all of our clutter, physical clutter, internal clutter, all of it, if we learn these values at a young age? And so it's a family affair that you have to get in the habit of teaching your kids. And my husband, him and I are very different. He is not organized and not methodical, and he's learned how to be. So, like, anyone is teachable, and that's kind of what the past year, we launched a course that people can take online because of that. Because I'm like, anyone can learn how to do these methods. You just have to choose your hard. I'll never sugarcoat anything. Anything you do in life is hard, but if you do it, you're going to see a positive outcome and it's going to make you a better future you.
I want to point out that you gave me a 3 and a 4. I was asking for a 3 and you gave me a 3 and a 4. So 3, which I totally agree on, is involve others in your plan. And that's what we talked about and not even just your family, because yes, having your husband on board and your family on board, hello, that's kind of, you're all living in the same place, which I love. Create your own homestead. I am going to steal that. a great concept because you can create
Mm-hmm.
that's the goal. Create what you want where you are. You don't have to always be looking for what you think you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like create it now. And that way when you do move on and maybe get your homestead, great, you'll appreciate that even more because you're already at peace without it. Anyway,
Right.
so
Yeah.
the involve others in your plan, which have a community of people supporting you. Have a community like we have in the sisterhood that are cheering you on. Tell people your goals and let them cheer you on and let them help you succeed and let them be there for you when you're having a rough day and have them be like, you know what, you got this. I get it. It's a tough day, but you got this. Tomorrow will be better, right? If you have people constantly cheering you on, you can do anything. I tell my husband that. I'm like, when we're having an off day, week, year, I don't know. No. When we're feeling like off, right? I shut down. I don't want to do it. I'm like, I don't care about anything. But when he's cheering me on, when we are good, when we are at a right place, it's like, I can conquer the world. I can be this. I can do that. I can crush this. So when you involve others in your dream and they're on board with it, it's incredible. And then 4, model for your children. Yes. Thank you. Okay. You said you can teach your children. You should teach your
Mm-hmm.
children. And not only to make them thriving, successful adults, but think about all of the stress that you feel from things, the clutter, the chaos, whatever, all the noise. Think about what it does to you. And
Mm-hmm.
do you want to pass that on to them? Or do you want them to feel free of that? Do you want them to feel peace? Do you want them, like we took our boys out of the hustle culture in 2017 and we went and traveled the world and we just did whatever. And it was honestly for the purpose of showing them that you don't have to live this way. You can, that's fine. It's available to you, but you can also live this way. So what better thing to give to our children is teaching them these tools when they're young, right? To prepare them better to not feel the crushing weight of the
Mm-hmm.
chaos that adult
Right.
life really brings, right? And who knows what's going to be there going on for them, the next generation. I mean,
I can't
that's like,
imagine.
I don't even want to know about what's going to be happening for them, but it's just about how can we better. And that's what motherhood is about. That's what we want
Mm-hmm.
is how can I pave the way to make them more successful? It's not doing it for them.
Right.
That's worse. Oh,
I know. It's a
you're
lot.
so
It's a
fun to
lot.
talk to. You're so fun. Gosh.
Oh,
Oh, good talk. Good talk. This is very insightful. I think I've gotten
yeah.
very deep since my near death experience. No, just kidding.
Oh man. I
Very
need to listen
shaken.
to that episode this
Very
week.
shaken. Oh my gosh.
Uh,
Well, tell me about your course. You mentioned it a little bit, but I want my listeners to know what you've got going on because I want them to reach out to you if this is something that they're going to need, and I think they will. So tell me about your course.
yeah. Yeah. So we just launched it in January. And so we're going to have our second launch coming up, date to be determined. But right now we are working with our students who are ready and are taking action to declutter their mind. We talk about that. I am someone who is very passionate and very real about the process of, hey, you've got this, and we're here to support you through it. Choose your hard. Like, I don't sugarcoat anything. And so in this course, that's the first module is talking through and changing our mindset, getting our family involved, teaching you strategies on how to do that successfully. And then we teach you step by step how to declutter your home. Is it an overnight process? No, it takes time, right? But again, we're with our students, helping them, teaching them, being honest about the hard, but also honest about how the outcome is so life changing if they change their mindset, change what they have in their home, what they buy. We also talk a lot about what you're spending and how you're spending, teaching them different strategies on saying no, clearing your schedule. And then our third module is really just teaching them long term. Like, okay, now that the course is done, you've successfully completed decluttering your mindset, your schedule, your home. Now what? And so we are just so excited. My husband and I actually did it together because we are both in this journey. He's learned a lot too from someone who is not a professional organizer, who has learned it. He was able to share his viewpoints. I remember when we were creating the course, we would be sitting there in my office and he'd be like, no, Liz, like you're a professional, your viewpoint is so different than like someone who's not naturally organized is going to feel. And so it was awesome because we were able to make sure the course was made for people who needed help, but from a professional organizer standpoint and for someone who has learned these skills over time. And so, yeah, it's been a really fun journey, and we are really excited that people are deciding to do this, even though it can be challenging, and already seeing so many great results from our students who are in the program right now. And so I'm just excited to see people change their lives and change their families' lives because, yeah, it's just there's so many people in a home. And so if I can teach a parent, mom or dad, how to do this, and then they get their family involved, it can change lives, right? And so I'm just really passionate about changing people's mindsets and making their lives better. So we're so excited that this course is live and that we're doing things differently and sharing a different message too, because this is not what culture talks about all the time, you know, and I've noticed that too, is like this idea of simplicity is not something that people are talking about. People are
Right.
talking about more, right? So it's been fun.
I love that. It sounds amazing. It honestly sounds so amazing. And your husband's right. I really love that there's different perspectives to that because I'm the same way. I'm a type A and my husband's not. And so as I've been doing this, I need your course. I need to get into this because as I've been doing it, I've been, putting his things in places and whatever. And I think he's liking it. So we got home from this trip, which I hope this doesn't sound bad for him. This is one of those things where I've just always done it because I don't mind doing it. I'm like you. I don't mind cleaning. I don't mind organizing things in a way what I like it. But I did start realizing, I'm getting burned out. I'm doing too much because now I have more kids and they have more clothes and they have, you know what I mean? It just it gets to be more. It just does. And so I did implement that my children, so when I get the laundry out, they sort it and they lay it on the floor and make it so it's nice and their school uniforms and they hang their stuff up. But I did have to, when I went in there and it's like, not Instagram perfect, picture perfect,
Yeah.
right? It's like,
Yeah.
I had to just let it go. I have to let it go because that's them doing it. And I have to encourage that because that's going to be so much better for them in the long run. Who cares? Who cares what it looks like? Who cares what the crap looks
Right.
like? If it's put away, it's put away. It's great. But so that's what I mean. My husband's we got home from this, just now this cruise, and I got home from picking up our dog from the sitter. And he's like, well, my stuff's already all put away. So what do you need me to do so you can get started? And I was like my jaw was on the floor. I'm like, your stuff's put away. But I think once you start to embrace that everything has a home, you know what I mean? The concept of when things are put away, it's more peaceful. You start to recognize, even though your brain's not saying, socks in a drawer, not on the floor, makes peace. Like, even though you're not saying that, it feels it. You feel that way. You're starting to feel the difference. And so I think he really is. I honestly, that was a big step for us. And I was like, this is working. It was so great.
And that's the thing is like people can learn how to do this. Same thing with my husband. I do the same thing. I'm like, wait, you're cleaning out your nightstand without me asking you to do this? And you're doing it on your own. Because he normally would have been like, I'm not touching that, just shut the door and hide it, you know? And so he has adopted this mindset too of don't put it down, put it away. Right. Because a lot of times it's easy to just come home, put everything that you brought in down, but then that creates chaos and
Right.
mess, and it affects you internally. And so taking that extra second, don't put it down, just put it away where it goes. It's going to like alleviate so much stress that day and then, the next day. And so getting in the habit of making your bed, putting things back, using what you've got, not just buying more, but like going and shopping your home before you shop at the store. There's just so many different things that we can learn and start doing and teaching our family and our kids that make everyone's life easier, not just ours, because that is so true, right? We can, as moms, just do everything for everyone. And then at the end of the day, like we didn't do anything for ourselves, which I don't think is healthy. And so putting that responsibility on everybody else and doing it together is so important and
Right.
life-changing for
I,
everyone.
I'm over here shouting from the rooftops too. I'm like, husbands, if you do more, then by the end of the day, and kids, if you're encouraging your kids to do more, then by the end of the day, your wife is not so burned out by every single thing that she's had to do and had to get done and deal with. By the end of the day, what does dad want? What does he want when he comes home? He wants a peaceful home. He doesn't want to walk in the door and have everybody screaming bloody murder chaos, right? And then he wants his wife to be peaceful and happy and relaxed and stress free. And then what does that lead to, right? Right, guys? Like when mom is not freaking out and stressed out to the max, leads to other happy, fun things. So make the correlation in your lives. So I just wrote down, you gave me 5. Don't put it down, just put it away. So we just made a perfect actionable list, actions to battle, overcome burnout through eliminating the chaos, right? Eliminating the clutter. And I'm just going to reiterate. Number 1 is mindset. If it's not a heck yes, it's a heck no. Number 2, who do I want to be in the future? Number 3, involve others in your plan. Number 4, model for your children, right? Create your own homestead. These are your quotable quotes. And 5, don't put it down, just put it away. Oh, wrapped up with a beautiful bow. So good. And everybody, listeners, you can go to on Instagram, it's Off the Coast Confessions. But what, do you have a website where this course is, or is it just a link in your bio?
Yeah. So our so Off the Coast Confessions, which you can totally follow me there too, is my second like business account. But Coastal Organizing Company is where you'll find all the information on the course and more tips on organizing, decluttering. Off the Coast Confessions is basically off the cuff. And last year I created it for business owners. A lot of professional organizers are following me there, but basically just being honest about how hard it is to be an entrepreneur. So definitely some insightful tips on there, but for decluttering and all of that would be Coastal Organizing Company, which same thing for website.
Yay. Thank you for
organizing. Yeah.
Whatever that word is, because I know English, Thank you for telling me the difference, because that's perfect. And I will put them in the show notes as well so they can get to you. And when you, to be determined, when you figure out that date, tag me in any of your posts so that I can share them as well. I would love to do that for you. Thank you so much. This has been so great. What a great conversation. Perfect rainy day conversation.
Oh, I love it. It was great connecting with you.
Thank you, Liz.